Money, money, money. Money, money, money. We got that fly Nubian money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. Money, money, money. Money, money, money. We got that fly Nubian money. We talk about that money. We all about that money. We love our black skin, our melanin, always focusing in on that money. We always win, money never thin, 'cause we hustling, always focusing in money, 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 money. We got that money, 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 money. We that fly Nubian money, boss talk, don't it? We stack it up.
Happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I'm Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, Karma J. And it just all depends on the day. And today we are talking about, first of all, how's everybody doing today? Queens.
Oh, good.
Everybody's good.
Happy
Everybody's feeling good.
Friday. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Okay, before I get this conversation started, did anybody happen to catch the verses last night?
No.
No?
Who was there? Who was
Nobody saw verses, really?
No.
Okay, Michael, who won? We're gonna say who won in 3. 3, 2, 1. Take. Who won?
So I didn't see the end of it, but I got to see the middle and the beginning. But did Tank win?
I think he won. Anyway, see, I thought nobody watches verses.
I do, but I didn't know they had one.
Oh my!
Yeah, I didn't see it at all.
Didn't know they had one. Yeah.
Boo. It was
Who was it? Tank and who else?
It was Tank and Tyrese. Anyway, okay.
Oh, that was good.
Y'all missed it. All right. So today's conversation, here's a conversation we could talk about because y'all missed it. Today's conversation might surprise some of y'all, but it shouldn't. Adults over 65 are now one of the fastest growing groups for sexually transmitted diseases in the United States. And this is not just about health. This is about awareness and financial planning, because we're going to talk about, like, what does that mean? Like, why is this happening? We're talking about a generation that didn't have to grow up with the same level of like sexual education. That's, we're living longer, we're dating longer, and now in many cases, our elders are re-entering the dating field. So we just want to break this down to the very last compound, and I got the best queens in the world to do it, y'all. I'm on the ones and twos, so y'all give me grace today. But I'm so happy to be here with y'all. I have Micah, the creator, who is an AI expert and digital marketer. I have Yolanda Spivey, who is our insurance broker to the stars. Dominique Morgan, who's an RN and a coach and a nurse. Well, I said that. Oh, and a real estate agent. I'm sorry. And also Deborah will win on YouTube. Okay. Queens, my queens. I want to hear what you all think about this. I'm gonna start with you, Micah. What was your initial thought when you heard the topic? What were you thinking?
Well, this isn't the first time I've heard of something like this, right? And it looks like the reason why this is happening is because people forget that STDs do not expire. Right? They absolutely do not expire, and they take things for granted, and they seem to think that they can kind of continue to go on, and that the same rules do not apply to them. And unfortunately, they're getting caught up as a result of just being more loose and less aware.
Okay. So what were you? Okay. So I'll take that. Yolanda, what was your initial reaction when you heard that? STDs are spiking in nursing homes. What was your first thought?
Yeah, my initial reaction was, first of all, on a metaphysical level,
people are thinking with their lower selves only. Okay. That's it. Just thinking with their lower selves. But on another level, reality level, um, people are dating, especially older people are dating more younger people. And a lot of younger people are a little bit more reckless with their health. They're not necessarily using protection. And as we see, older people aren't using protection either. All right. And a lot of younger people are gravitating to older people because of financial stability, especially during this time. Okay. There's a lot of craziness going on. And there are the YouTubers who are encouraging the young people, especially the young women, to go out there and date the elderly for financial stability. And this is some of the issues on why, as to why there is a STD spike amongst the
Mm,
elderly.
wow. Okay. I can understand that. Dominique, what do you think? I need some perspective, RN. I need some perspective.
So I'm not surprised. This is nothing new. As a healthcare professional, I've worked in, home health where you go into these communities. They're like college campus. And, you got that one fine man that's messing with all the women in there and the women on the outside. So I'm not surprised by this at all. The issue that I think that we're having is the lack of education, because we just assume that older people are not sexually active, and they're probably more sexually active than the young folks and have more experience. So there's a lot, that goes into it. These people are going, these older people are dating younger people. And then, and especially in community settings, they're all sleeping with each other. And so these STDs are spreading, in these facilities. So I was not surprised by it. I can tell you stories, because I've been exposed to it. So yeah, it happens.
That's so interesting. Deborah, what was your reaction to the boom boom room is still in full swing? What was your thoughts?
Listen, these pension poppies and these pension mommies is outside, okay? Okay, some of them got two, three, four pensions, okay? Listen, they're trying to subsidize, people trying to subsidize their incomes in the economic state that we're in. And if you in your 70s, 80s, what you gonna do with all that money? You need a young person to help you spend it, right? Listen, so they out there, they're outside, they having fun. A lot of them feel like, if their spouse is deceased, maybe they're getting another chance at life. A younger person brings that energy to you, So I'm thinking, hey, they trying to have, a second spin around the block.
I see, or a third or a fourth spin around the block,
Okay.
depending on how old they are.
Use your
I
condoms,
want to
old people. Use your condoms.
Oh my God. I want to know from the audience. I see our faithfuls, our favorites in the chat. I want to know what you think. What was your initial reaction to hearing that nursing homes have an uptick in STD rates? Let's go ahead to our first video just to get some perspective, just to lay the foundation for this conversation because I think it's crazy. I think it's just too
Rise in older
dang much.
people. Now, why is that, you might ask? Well, a number of factors likely contribute to this, according to some of the research that we have. Number one, there are medications like Viagra. There are also vaginal lubricants, vaginal moisturizers. In other words, we now have tools to help older people have sex in ways that maybe we didn't have before. Another reason is the divorce rate is higher. It's higher than it has been, okay? And as people are going back into sort of the dating pool, well, they're going back into the dating pool. There are perhaps more older people who are candidates. I don't want to say for STDs, but are looking for love, maybe out in the dating pool, etc. So this might increase the risk for STDs. Another thing is some research cites a decrease in sex education. Do you guys agree with this? Another reason given is that older people may not be accustomed to thinking about condoms and STD protection. Perhaps that's the case. Also, as we get older, our immune system does decrease. That is a fact for men, women. It just happens. Also, many STDs do not have symptoms, and this is for any age. Sometimes it's hard to get tested, get screened if you don't have symptoms. Guys, no matter what age you are, as an adult, if you are having sex sexually active, make sure that you are getting tested before. This is what I recommend: getting tested before you are sexually active. Talking to your partner openly and honestly about STDs, using protection, using condoms. Talk to your doctor. Guys, I hope this is helpful.
Y'all, I just cannot wrap my mind around this. Like, I hear y'all. I hear y'all. And when I think about it, I understand that, I remember one time I was having a conversation with with my grandma. and my great grandma at that. And it was before she passed away, but she was just like, I mean, we were talking about, somehow we started talking about sex. And I was like, Grandma, she was like, what? I ain't dead, right? And so I just remember us having that conversation. And you're right. So our elders are not dead. They are, in fact, still very much living and active like everybody else. So I want to know, I want to start with you, Dominique. How can we start to bring our elderly into these types of conversations? Like, how do you even, it just feels like something, if they're worried about, if you're in a nursing home kind of nursing your body, if you know, if you're not, you're in a nursing home, like what kind of conversation should they start having,
So
basically? Because I can't believe it.
it's funny. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, this is another stream of income for me. I can go into nursing homes and do sex education, because the reality is the older people, they didn't have sex education, right? They learned everything on their own. Like, they didn't have the structure that the kids now have. So just having the conversation, like if you have conversations with older people, they are honest. They're brutally honest with you. They're willing to have the conversations. They'll talk about whatever, and you can educate them. Just keep it real with them. Like, these girls out here, and I would have these conversations. Like, you got to be careful with these girls out here. Because if a lot of times it's well, let me take that back, because you had older women with the younger guys too. So it goes both ways. But just having honest conversations, just having the conversation. Period. Getting
Yeah.
into these nursing homes, I literally just have an ideal. Like, I can go to
Listen.
nursing homes and have in assisted living facilities, independent living facilities, and just have education. Have a jar with condoms. Like, they need this stuff within the facility so that they know that, because they're going to do it. There's nothing you can do about it. So when you think about an independent living facility, it's like a college campus. Everybody is just there free. They have all kind of games. You're mingling. They have dances, So having these resources available to them, and then just having the education, the structured education, so that they know, there are different things out here that you may not be aware of because of your age, right? They were not accustomed to using condoms. So just having these conversations, I think, will be so beneficial.
How do you think, Micah, that divorce rates and all of, because I keep thinking about the nursing home. I'm wondering, like, so what y'all saying is, because y'all got to help me understand this, right? I just need to understand. You're saying that people that come to the nursing home, first of all, the elderlies are having sex with one another, but then outside influence, people are coming in to the nursing home and having sex with the older people.
No, so when you, not nursing homes per se, not, things can happen in nursing homes, but we're talking about things like independent living facilities where they can go in, they can come in and out as they choose. They're just like college campuses. They're just a
I
bunch
see.
of apartments. And so they have bingo, they have dances, they have all the
Okay.
activities, and they also have the freedom. People can come in, they can go out. So that's what we're talking about, not necessarily nursing homes.
Okay.
That can happen in there, but it's more so those independent senior retirement facilities, things like that.
Okay. So let me ask Michael with that in mind, because I was like, well, I don't understand what's happening. Micah, how do you think divorce affects this trend? How do you think the divorce rates in the elderly, and, like, percentage of people that are widowed, like, once you get into that space, how do you think that affects STD rates?
Okay. I am making the assumption that, when you're older, you were in a retirement mindset from a lot of different things, right? And a lot of times the retirement mindset can mean that you can afford to be careless about some things. And unfortunately, sex ends up making it on that list, right? And then we kind of have to look at too that a lot of times people are still making misjudgments, thinking like, okay, if so somebody has an STD, they're going to look sick. But STD doesn't have a type of look to it, right? So there's definitely the idea that they can just kind of be more careless and be looser. And then, there's the element too of, in order for protection or contraceptives to work, older women might not want to be on birth control. Or they might think like, okay, well, I can't have babies anymore anyway, so it's fine. And we think about older men using their form of contraceptive, it requires them to be in shape in order for it to properly work. And if it doesn't, if they're not properly like in shape in order for their contraceptive to work, they're probably going to say like, I don't like it. I don't want to use it anyway. Right. Because it's like, what's the point? So they could be running into that and using that as a reason to be, lazy about it as well.
I see. But I saw with the, like, there's Viagra. There's so many new things that are on the market for people to just take. Like, like I think the young lady was saying that, like, Viagra exists and all of these things that weren't available to seniors before. Yolanda, how do you think are those types of things encouraging our seniors to have sex? It's like now you can just go get a pill, blue pill, Viagra, whatever you need, and you're up. What do you think about
Hell
that?
yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. Viagra is the devil. It's the devil. And on top of that, now older women are taking like hormone replacement therapy and things like that so they can get, revitalize their youthfulness down there. And the men are doing it. Look, it's a fuck fest over there. Okay. It's a fuck fest. But what my coach said, because I told him about this topic, and he said, look, if these people are 65 years or older and they get these STDs, they only have like about 5 to 7 more years to live. Let them go out with a bang. And I'm like, that is so gross.
Not the bang, not the bang bang.
The
like,
bang
no, we don't want the
bang.
STD bang though.
Okay.
I think it's okay. I'm gonna ask you, Deborah. Do you feel like it's okay? I mean, is there a time when elders should sit down and not be sexually active? I mean, I think I'm wondering because I
Wow.
mean,
Okay, I'm
huh?
sorry.
I'm like,
Listen. I believe that, like Micah said, and Yolanda has said, like all y'all have said, they need to be in shape. They need to be physically and mentally, stable to be able to have sex. I know in some settings, assisted living, like where they have dementia patients, they're still married to their spouses, but may fall in love with another person who lives in the assisted living place with them. And sometimes they end up sleeping with each other and thinking that they're in a whole new relationship. That's one aspect of this. Another aspect is you could get that phone call and they'll say, how my daddy died on top of me. Y'all remember Color Purple? Like, so come on. Like, you don't want to get that phone call about your daddy. And then listen, thank God they don't need the clear blues, okay? They don't need the clear.
Why do you have a clear blue, Lord? Like,
Yeah, what's up with that?
It's a prop for the show. It was just a prop for the show. It's not. Listen, I'm a great grandmother, so it ain't for me.
That's what I'm about to say. What you gotta tell us, Deborah?
I done been over to the senior clinic.
That's so funny. I want to know.
HRT is getting to you.
That's so funny. Dominique, I want to know how loneliness is playing a role in it. Like, how is loneliness a factor in this situation for the elderly?
So, and when they're in those independent living facilities, they're not necessarily lonely because they're all together. They mingling and doing everything together. The ones that are lonely are probably the ones that are not at risk for getting STDs because they're at home, they're not going out, they're not doing anything. So I don't think loneliness has anything to do with this. I think it's all about horniness. Like, they're horny, they want to have sex, they're amongst each other in these facilities. That man looks good. So, quick story time. I did home health for a long period of time. So I would have different members within one building. And so I knew the hot man because everybody was telling me about the man that was hot and giving me all the tea about the man that everybody was sleeping with, right? So, like, this, it's not about being lonely. They are just like us. Like, you have those feelings and those like, they get hot and bothered. I mean, I've had patients with dementia where I had to tell the family, like, you may want to get them a toy or something because they're using a brush and crazy stuff because they still have the sexual cravings as young people. So I don't think it's about loneliness at all. The people that are lonely are not at risk because they're not with anybody. But the people in these facilities that are around all their peers and they can go out and about and things like that, they're the ones that you have to do it. It has nothing to do with loneliness, I don't think.
And there's nothing built in. And if anybody can answer this question for me, do you know of anything that's built in for seniors to even prepare seniors for that, right? Like if sex drive is not if the sex drive does not go away, people are living longer. Does anybody know of anything that any type of programs where this even
No,
exists?
no. And the problem is it's ignored. So we're not having these conversations at the doctor's office. We act like they don't, the feelings just go away. So that's what happens. That's part of the problem. We just ignore it as if, oh, they're old, so they're not sexually active. And they're out here worse than the young people. And so we have to have the conversation because there's nothing out there. Like it's like my grandma having sex. Yes, your grandma is probably having sex, but nobody talks about that.
I know
I
that.
mean,
I was just going to say, I know that in some of the places, some of the senior places that I've gone into to do volunteer work, they do have condom stations. So they have a condom station there they have female and male condoms. They also have a hotline, and they have groups for SA, which is Sex Anonymous. I've seen those flyers posted when I go to do volunteer work. Also, in the gas stations, they're selling Rhino and Elephant Man, like things to help you to have an erection and stuff for women. Like I looked up at the wall and I said, "Is that for sex?" And the guy was like, "Oh yes, this is our hottest seller, Rhino." And I was like, "Oh my God!" So it's promoted everywhere. We're a sexual country. We really are. We really are. And we don't want to talk about it. And we don't want to protect our seniors, our children from things that could come from it. But we're a very over sexualized country. We really are.
And another thing, people fail to realize that when you can age out, people ignore the elderly. Once you get a certain age, they act like you don't exist, and they relegate everything to the young, or the middle age. So these elderly people are just forgotten. That's why, I agree with Miss Nurse over here about education. Education is key. They need to go into those nursing homes, and I hope you make that a business, sis, because they do need to go into those nursing homes and start re-educating them about sex and protection and sexual health. So,
Micah, I feel like I'm the only one. I'm gonna ask Micah this. Like I thought I was under the impression that at a certain age that libido went down and that thing didn't come up, right?
shut
Like
up.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Like at some point, I'm never gonna stop wanting the thing.
No, you won't. And neither will the men that are surrounded by you during that age as well. And it might be surprising for you, especially like if you've just kind of grown up around elderly people that are just really conservative and quiet about their business, like it's never talked about, right? And they probably acted like that too, because maybe you were a child when you were around them. However, you become my age, which you are like pretty much my age or whatnot. You see a lot of things, especially if you date older men like I have, like elderly men. That drive is not going anywhere. They are the worst of the worst. Okay. That's several years, several decades of built up experience, tension, everything. Okay. They have no shame, and they're trying to take advantage of as much as they can possibly take advantage of before they get out of here.
It's so true. Yeah.
And they
My
have,
ex-boyfriend
and they have
said,
resources like the blue pill to help them. So a
yeah,
woman, we peak later in life, right? The men
we
peak
do.
earlier in life. So we want it all the time. So
Right.
the men, they have the blue pill to help them because they want it too, but they may not be able to do it. But they have resources that allow them to do it. So it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I was going to say
Anybody?
my ex-boyfriend said, as both men and women, you can either age juicy or you can age dry. Think about it. Which one you going to take? Which road you going to take? Juicy or dry?
On that note, let's go to another.
I'm with you.
I'm going out juicy. I'm going out juicy.
I'm going out juicy, girl.
Did you know that in the state of Georgia, if you're over 55 years old, that your chances of catching an STI has literally doubled over the past few years? If you don't know what an STI is, I suggest you go and Google it and look it up because it's very, very important. They're saying that these STIs are showing up in nursing homes and in senior citizen housing. Guys, what are we doing? We should be old
It.
enough to know better. Cover that shit up. It's not just auntie over here and auntie over there when you're in the nursing home. Aunties are literally everywhere. And you know those little horny old men are going to get up in the middle of the night and go do what they got to do. So make sure they cover that shit up. Don't you go being a statistic and catching an STI.
So, just for the people who may not know what an STI is, Dominique, can you help explain to the people what an STI, what's considered an STI, what's considered an STD?
So they're just sexually transmitted disease or a sexually transmitted infection. So they're the same thing. They're just used interchangeably.
Okay. Okay. Um, Anonymous says ATL is the STI capital of America, and you happen to live there, right, Anonymous? Herpes, crabs, all the things. So he's naming all the things. What is that? So y'all, I just can't get over. I mean, I understand what y'all saying. Like, I don't mean to be the one that's like, I just don't know. But I understand what you all are saying. People are still having sex. They're still, and we need to educate our elderly on what's happening. But how do you even rally around, like Yolanda said earlier, that the elderly are forgotten? There's not programs that exist. This is not something that people are doing. How can we start to educate the elderly? I'll ask Micah, how do we educate the elderly on this? How do we even start to let them know that this is happening?
It's just one of those things where if you feel comfortable enough and you have the opportunity to bring it up in the discussion, then it would be good for you to do, right? I have never sat around a group of elders and ever really felt comfortable discussing sex with them. And
Mhm.
if I'm being honest, a lot of my interaction with elders has been in religious settings. So that's never a good opportunity. And in those settings, they're on their best behavior, right? The next opportunity is like what? The family picnic. We're not discussing that during, like family time. And so I think it just has to be like really like the right time and the right place. If you find that you have, friends that are elders, it would probably be a good idea to be like, hey, have you heard this, heard of this recently? And they'll probably be more comfortable to open up about what's going on around them, or maybe what's going on in their own life. And maybe just, make recommendations passively, because a lot of them too are going to look at you like, I wasn't born yesterday. I've been doing this longer than what, you've been doing it. So we want to make sure that we have those conversations with a lot of, respect and grace for them.
Hmm. Yeah, I was going to actually ask you, do you think, Yolanda, do you think that people are too embarrassed to have these kind of conversations? Are they too embarrassed to get tested later in life?
Yes and no. Some of them are, and some of them aren't. So it just depends on that person, really. Because like, and a lot of elderly people after a certain age, they just don't have any shame, so they just don't give a damn. So they will go get tested to find out what's going on. But I wanted to piggyback off of Micah's answer, about where, how to bring up the topic. Where do elderly people spend the majority of their time? At the doctor's office.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
their doctors should be bringing it up to them at this point on a regular visit. They should address what's going on out there in the world and let them know if, about, talk about their sexual health with their doctors. That's who should be bringing it up to them at this point, because they're not going to listen to the grandchildren. They're not going to listen to their own children, but they will listen to their doctor, their physician.
Mm. Um, Dominique, what should we be doing now to kind of prepare for this stage in life? Like, okay, I hear what y'all saying. Like, you get a little, it just, what, how can I prepare? How can I prepare for this stage in life?
So you're one day you're going to be that elderly person we're talking about. Do you think you're not going to want to have sex? You are. So just educating yourself on good practices, right? People are afraid to know whether you're young or you're old. If you have an STD, you have HIV. It's just like anything else. People just don't want to know, the fear of knowing, and so people don't get tested. But I think a good practice is, let me see your doctor's note. I'm gonna show you my doctor's note if you're not gonna be protected, and just having honest conversations with each other. I'm sleeping with other people or I'm not. Everybody, and I see somebody in the comments saying marriage. Everybody, I believe in marriage. I believe in marriage, but that's not going to be the reality. And then what happens when people are married and then their spouse passes away, or
Right.
they're divorced? They still have those cravings and they still want to have sex. So we have to be more responsible, but we have to have the conversations. And I agree, doctors and nurses, like, I have conversations. I ask the questions because I really want to know. And I like talking to older people to get the wisdom and the knowledge. And, so I'll ask, like, y'all, who all sleeping with him? Like, I want to know, like, are y'all protecting yourselves? And they will open up to you if they feel comfortable. So it's just educating yourself, being responsible, making sure if you are going to be unprotected. Unfortunately, a lot of older people are, because they weren't brought up with condoms and stuff. That wasn't what they did. So making sure that whoever you're sleeping with, that they are clean as well, and then still getting tested regularly and being honest about what you're doing. So I get it. I see remarry all in the comments. That may not be for everybody. Once people are married one time, you're older, you may not want to get remarried. That may not be your reality. So again, I believe in marriage, but it's not the thing that everybody is going to do. Or once they've been married, they may not want to do it again. So we just have to be more responsible. We have to be honest. We have to have the conversations, and we have to get tested. Like, I got a whole bunch of stuff in my mind now, like bringing those STD buses to the nursing centers, maybe once a month, to make sure that people inside, they're comfortable just getting tested and treated, and not judging them either. Just because they're old doesn't mean they can't have desires and needs. So those are some of the things that we can do.
Oh, I love that. But I think it's interesting that the Real Black Lexicon and anonymous keep saying, like, just be married, just get married, just remarry. Just imagine being 80 years old talking about, I'm about to go outside. Like, what does that even look like for an 80-year-old woman? We're talking about elders, and I'm coming to you, Deb. What does it look like to be 82 years old and a widow and talking about, I'm still horny? I mean, because that's what y'all saying. Like, that's what, when
Girl,
I think elderly, I'm thinking between the ages of 65 and probably 85. And so if that is the case, Deb, how do I even, marriage, if you spent your 30 years with Walter, let's just say, right? You didn't spend the last 30 years with Walter. All you know is Walter, he died. And now you gotta be like, I'm about to get outside and be 82. Tell me how to navigate that, Deborah.
listen, my grandmother and my aunt, her sister, oh, they was outside. They were outside. Both were married, had been married. My grandmother was only married once, but my aunt, oh, she was definitely Erica Kane. She loved them all. She was married 3 times. And and the last gentleman she was with, I'm looking for her one day and I'm calling, no answer. Honey, I pulled up at the house, was going in with my key, and all of a sudden I hear, don't come in. Don't come in. So I was looking for you, Auntie. I just want to make sure you were okay. I was like, is your nightgown on backwards?
She was okay. She was okay.
He was like, mind your business. I'm fine. And I left. I left clutching my non-existing pearls. And I was like, but when she passed away, her gentleman friend, he was, oh my God, he was crying, and I felt so bad. I said, oh my God, Mr. Robert, I'm so sorry. I know you really like my aunt. One time I went to take her out for her birthday. She said, oh no, we got plans. We're going to a play. We're going to dinner on Broadway. And I said, oh, I had made plans too for you. But she was like, no, I'm going out. Like, I'm not dealing with y'all family members. I want to go out with him. And when she passed, he was crying, but he was like, was she really 88? And I looked at him and said, yes. I said, well, how old are you, Mr. Robert? He said 62.
Okay.
What?
88. He did not believe my aunt was 88. We age very well. Thank God for God's grace.
Yeah,
but
you
he
do.
did not believe she was 88. My aunt was still working, driving. all the things. She had an aneurysm, and that's how she passed. But he could not believe. He said, "Was she really 88?" And I was like, the way he asked me was like, I was like, "Ooh." So I'm happy to hear that news, though. You know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing. I love that. I think that's a great topic, or that's something to bring up, right? That Black women are. I think we're just aging a lot. I think in general we're all aging a lot better because my 42 is not my mama's 42. It's not my grandma's 42, right? It's just different. We just look different. We take care of ourselves differently. So we're gonna have sex a lot longer. We're gonna, but I think in general, women just kind of age. But I don't know, Dominique, is this a real thing that that women just generally take care of themselves a little better? We age better than Black men.
From my experience, yes. Women do all the things, health wise. They go to the gym, and oftentimes men, they don't get their physicals. They don't follow up. They don't take care of themselves. That's just kind of something that I've seen across the board consistently. Unfortunately, they don't go to the doctors, and Lord forbid they're single. It's even worse. They don't want to listen. They don't eat well. They don't go to the doctor. Whereas, women are in the gym. The older women, they're taking their walks. Oh, baby, I was on my walk. Or, they're better about their health than men are for the most part.
Okay. Anybody else want to add to that? Like, have you seen in your experience? I mean, does anybody have any? Because I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I understand. I could see us wanting to have sex and be with, men a lot later. Like Deborah said, her aunt was 88 years old. I mean, okay, like that's that's really elderly, right? But it's not, because like I said, it's just we're more youthful. It's a different 88, right? So anybody want to add to that before I go to the next video?
So I want to say something. So they were talking in the comments about marriage. So I'm gonna just bring this up. Another thing, people may want to get married, but the family doesn't want them to get married, and they fight with them to stop them from getting married. So that's the thing that we see as well. They may really want to get married, but their relatives are like, "What are you getting married for? No, don't get married." And they fight against them getting married. So they end up in these same situations. They're still sleeping with people. They just not getting married because the family is putting up such a fight about it.
Because marriage is a business deal. And so the family's thinking if they get together, they only got 2 more years left. So who's going to get whose assets when who leaves first? So that's why they don't want them to get married.
I was just going to say that. You're right.
Yeah.
Because they want to fight over what's going to be left, especially the children. Oh,
Right,
does he
like,
have
hell no.
children? Are we going to have to fight over property? Yeah, a lot of
Right.
times they do try to, they don't encourage their parents to get with somebody else. They want
Right.
them, keep them to themselves so that way they can divvy up whatever assets are left over, which is very unfair,
It is.
to the parent. It's really unfair. Maybe they can have a second chance at a lovely marriage with someone else if their spouse has died or divorced or whatever. But sometimes these kids are just selfish. They
Yeah,
want
they
what they
are.
want, and they don't want their parents' money going to somebody else or being cut in half. Because if she dies and he lives, guess what? That money goes to him.
That goes to him. But then at that point, they should have a prenup in place. And I do encourage older people to have prenups in place for sure.
Yeah.
And
And
trust.
also
And
trust.
trust.
Yeah. Have
And
a
trust.
trust.
Yeah, and a
To
trust.
say this goes to, because if this is your husband, you want him taken care of, but you also want your children taken care of. So if you put
Correct.
things in writing, legally, then you protect everything. But people, again, they don't want their relative to get married because of the fact that they know that this person may have kids. Now everybody's fighting, but if we have conversations in our community about trust, prenups, different things like that, I don't think it's nothing wrong with it, but we're not doing that. And so the
Yeah.
family tries to prevent their loved ones from getting married because they're going to take your stuff if they go first.
And this also ties into the fact, Dominique, that a lot of elderly people are overlooked. Look, we're not even talking about their finances, and that's crazy. The only time you talk about their finances is when they're on out the door and somebody's about to take it, like Medicaid or something like that, because they have to go into a nursing home. That's the only time you talk about their finances. So yeah, sad.
Okay, so let's because I want to bring and then so if you're not getting married, you can't get married because you're worried about assets and you just outside as an elderly person having sex with young people, old people. and getting STDs. So let's just see like where exactly STDs are the most rampant. And I think this is just in
Highest
general.
STD rates, state by state, has been released. Now, I was a little shook by all of it, I will be honest, but I'm going to go over it with you because top 10, here we go. With a 5% increase from 2022, we have New York coming in at number 10. All right, okay, what are you guys doing? This next one actually dropped 3%, okay, from 2022, and that's Arkansas. You came in number 9, Arkansas. Number 8, though you came down 10% in the last 2 years, South Carolina, you are number 8. You are number 8. Right behind you, number 7, North Carolina. Little frenzies. Y'all frenzies. And they had no movement, really. Like 0.03 in the 2 years. What are y'all doing? This next one, number 6. You went up 1.9%, okay? And that is Alabama. Alabama, you have now taken over number 6. You took over number 6. So congrats. So even though they went down 2%, Georgia's coming in at 5. Number 5, Georgia, get it together. Get it together. In South Dakota, I know you ain't laughing. You ain't laughing because you're number 4. Even though you went down 9%. 9%, you're still number 4. What you doing? Y'all need to get it together too, okay? Number 3, it's Alaska. And they even went down 3%. But y'all know what? They're bored. They're bored. And they don't care. Rubber or not, we doing it. We're bored up here. We're bored. We're cold. Let's stay warm. That's it. I don't even blame them. Now, though they came down 15%, they're still number 2. They came down 15% since 2022. Mississippi. Yep. MISSISSIPPI.
Wait, and I really get to number 1. All right. So listen, you know what I noticed about all of those places is the majority of them are the southern states, right? And just growing up in the South where, life happens a little slower. People are, my grandmother was from Alabama. My grandma had 12 children. You know what I mean? Like my dad's mother had 18 children and they are from Arkansas. So like when I think about like those are my grandmas, right? When I think about that, like they're having, I guess they're having sex in southern states. I just want to hear your reaction to that, even though we didn't hear number 1 for whatever reason it cut off. But Dominique, what's your reaction to that?
I'm not surprised. I mean, it ain't that much to do in the country, and they probably just humping around. Like, they need signs on the back of their car, like "Stay off of her." So I'm not surprised by it, and it could also be those southern states not having as much education, because I think that's a big part, like really educating and providing resources to people so that they know what's out there and they know how to protect themselves against it. Where do you go to get tested? They may not have like the Planned Parenthoods and different places that you can go to that can provide those resources, the education, for you. So I mean, I'm not surprised by it.
Mm-hmm. I was tempted to look at the list to just see what was number 1, but it looks like on this list it says that oh goodness, it says that Mississippi is number 1.
I wouldn't be surprised. I spent a lot of time in Mississippi, and I remember one time I went to a friend's party, and the guys there were all bet because I'm from up north, and they were all betting who was going to sleep with me first, and then who was going to sleep with me second, and then who was going to sleep with me third, as if I was going to be volunteering my coochie cooch for them. I just was like shocked. But this is what they do.
Oh, oh. Micah, what is your reaction to? I guess we can start to get into like what just in general. I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of things. I don't know if you guys caught the news about like there being like 43,000 new STD cases in Houston after spring break. I don't know if I believe that. Like, I don't know if I believe it like that because in a weekend nobody can go and be like, well, let me go get tested and then we get the report. So I don't know if I believe stats the way they give them to us, but I do think that there has been a spike. I wouldn't be surprised if it seems like Texas would be number 1, but with that, I just feel like in general people are being a lot more reckless. And to go back to what we were saying about, just especially in our community, our girls are getting, I was gonna pull. I had pulled a video of a girl, basically, who had she had gotten herpes. She got genital herpes from somebody she had sex with. And she was crying all over the internet, and people were like, "You just got to take responsibility for what you." So I just want to talk about like what our young people for a second, because I feel like it's all related. If what you all are saying is the young people are having sex with the older people for pension poppies, for money, for whatever, how can we really like, because they have education, how can we really like penetrate our youth, no pun intended, to get them to understand what, the severity of what's happening? I'm gonna start with you, Michael, with that question. That's your question.
You know, I think that with me being inside of marketing, whenever we wanted to um, move like good ideas, they had to be backed with really positive campaigns, right? So people sometimes they forget that being healthy and being healthy long term is something that is sexy. When people are thinking like, oh, let me go get tested, that's the most unsexiest thing that you could think about, because you have to deal with, the nerves, the weird clinic, the stigma, the fear. People don't talk about the amount of anxiety that sits with you as you're waiting for those, results, and then the after effect of that. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people, they don't bother to practice that um, regularly. And then not only that, it's like it's culturally popular to be loose, to be reckless, to be damaging, you know, to others. What do we campaign to men? Men, go and get as many women as you possibly can,
Mhm.
right? And then they try to do it to women too. Um, and when somebody is settling down and actually treating their spouse or their significant other correctly, what do we call them? Right? We call them simps. All right. We call them pick me's, right? Um, just for being safe. And so trying to collectively get men and women on board with like, hey, pick a partner, stick with them, stop always trying to look for the next best thing. Both of you guys keep your commitments to each other. Don't sit up there and have a situation where you want somebody to commit to you and only stay faithful to you, but you're going to be on the back end making things unsafe for them. And that happens a whole lot. So these STD numbers don't um, surprise me. So again, like until we take things like that and make it popular and make it attractive and make it seductive, right? Instead of constantly pushing out sexual betrayal. And if you think about it too, I hate to be long, but sexual betrayal is like the number one most popular thing inside of our news and our media. What
Mhm.
celebrity cheated on what celebrity, even though the
Mhm.
celebrity had it all together, their money, their looks, their mindset, their career, everything. It's like the popular thing to send your sexual partner through a public humiliation ritual.
Mhm.
So people who are not celebrities, they're looking at that and they're like, oh yeah, it's okay for me to go ahead and do that as well. But it ends up leaving us with aftermath that we don't have the same type of money to clean up.
Hmm.
So that's my solution. We us that are content creators, we have to be more responsible about what about what we're putting out as attractive. It sits in our psyches and it spills out into our communities.
Okay, let's talk about the hot girl summers then, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean that is a thing, right? Where girls are just like, I'm gonna get outside. I saw a spike in one night stands in our youth, our teenagers. Teens are having sex a lot younger. We didn't have. I mean, I think everybody here is safe to say everybody is 40 and up in this group. And so when we were younger, growing up, we weren't so over sexualized. I mean, the 90s we were getting to a place where everybody was just hard, right? Like everybody was just, when I played music for my daughter, she was like, man, y'all was traumatized in the 90s. It was like, I got a gun and I'm gonna shoot you, like that was when I'm playing music for Lauren, it's so funny. I would say that like now you're absolutely right. There's this over sexualized vibe where people are just hooking up. It's a hot girl summer, shake your butt, have sex with him, do it. So I'm gonna ask you this, Dominique. How do we pull back if more teens, more teenagers, these young girls are having these hot girl summers, feeling sexual empowerment, getting online and social media and just hooking up on places like Tinder. How do we stop this? How do we stop that?
I think a big thing is just having conversations. Parents talking to their children about how precious they are and how precious their bodies are. And you shouldn't give your body to everybody, right? I think there's a lot of trauma in our community where people don't feel worthy. People are so sexually fluid. So they're not just going to a female, is not just going to a man. She's also going to a female. There's a lot of dynamics that are going on within our community. But we need to have conversations with our children. It starts at home.
Yeah.
Right? Having conversations with our children about, soul ties and having, sex with multiple partners and letting them know, not just our girls, but our boys, like you are precious. You shouldn't be giving your body to everybody, because what is the reason, right? You do it because you're trying. I feel like sex sometimes is like a drug, right? You're trying to numb yourself from things that you're going through as opposed to just dealing with what you're going through, and you use sex to cover it up. People think sex is correlated with love, and it's not. Sex is sometimes just that, sex. And so I think that we just need to have more conversations with our children, right? About who they are, and build their confidence and their self-esteem. And whether the kids are still doing it, just having those conversations, about how precious you are, how precious your body are. And again, not just for the girls, but having these conversations with the boys as well. You don't want to drop your seed off in anybody. You don't want to have a baby by anybody. On top of the fact that you can end up with STDs. I remember a few years ago, I watched a documentary, and I can't remember the name of the documentary, but the lady said HIV lay down in the bed with me. She's sleeping with her husband. He ended up with HIV/AIDS. So we need to have conversations, like Michael was saying, like literally being loyal and honest and have a moral compass, have some integrity and character. Stop sneaking around and putting other people at risk that don't even know. I'm in a faithful, committed relationship on my side. That's what I feel like. But on the other side, it may not be like that. And that's not fair to the person that is committed and faithful to this marriage or to this relationship. So we have to have conversations with our kids and keep having the conversations. Don't stop. Don't, even if you feel like they're not doing what you say, just having those conversations and telling them that they're worthy and they're precious and your body, you shouldn't give your body to everybody. Having those conversations.
Okay. So really quick, I just want to do a quick round robin. We're gonna keep it quick. What are how often, and this is just my question, like we have some married queens on the panel, but I want to know how do you all test? Like, how do you all practice? Like, I mean, I do like, I go, they always digging up in there, like at least once a year, maybe twice a year, because I got these fibroids. But I want to know, like, how are you guys getting tested? What was the testing schedule when you were married, or when you were not, or when you were sexually active? What did you do? I'll start with you, Micah. How did you make sure that you stayed safe?
Right. So Planned Parenthood, right, provides free STD testing. Honestly, like I wasn't like a huge fan of of going through them, but it is what it is. And it was just something that, you just really have to take care of and do it early, not waiting until something is, too late, just like you go and get checkups for everything else. That's there too. Like you want to know so you can make sure that you're taking the best care of yourself possible.
Yolanda, what about you? How do you ensure that you're staying safe? What are some of the practices that you have?
I don't fuck. Okay. That's how I stay safe. I ain't fucking nobody's crazy ass son. I'm just saying. But it's true. I am one of those women out here. I can go years without sex because sex to me is not, it's just not about sex for me. I use sex on a higher level, all right, when I'm with somebody. But I will say this, when I was younger, when I was in high school, I was so impressed when I got to New Jersey that so many girls were going to like Planned Parenthood and things like that. I was impressed because they were taking control of their sexual health. And I'm so happy I saw that, because it also encouraged me when I started to have sex to go and get, checked out. Because I was like, hey, everybody's going to this gynecologist. Let me get checked out too. And so I make sure that I do keep my appointments still, and every year because you don't know what's laying dormant in your system. So every year I do go to the doctor and just get tested, like my blood tested to see what's going on. And they also run an STD panel as well, just to see what's going on in my body. But that's it. But I'm not reckless. I'm not messing with nobody's son. And if I do, I'm gonna make him get tested.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make him get tested. You better show me those results, because that's what I did with my ex.
On the flip though, like, oh, you gotta show, like, we, yes, I gotta see. But Deborah, what about you? Oh Lord. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Miss Hollywood.
Hey.
Yeah. She's
What
got
about you, Deborah?
So yes, Yolanda, I definitely sentiments. I have the same sentiments. I can go years and not be sexually active, and it's okay. But if I am going to engage or be with someone, we are going to get tested. We're going to bring our results together. It could be a nice dinner date. Let's, like a report card. Let's check these things out, and you should be able to have those conversations. If I'm about to be intimate with you in that way, like I'm very precious to me. So this jewel right here, you're gonna value me. And so getting tested is very important to me. I was a teen mom. And so being a teen mom, I was just saying to my daughter today that my mom, she would just, like, I was 13 when I got my came on my cycle. She was like, don't let those boys touch you. But she didn't go into depth. She didn't say, what do you mean by that? Like, I had the little class in school, but that was pretty much it. And then 3 years later, I was a mom. So I was more in depth with my son and my daughter. But of course, my son, he became a teen dad as well. So, but I'm still out here advocating. I ain't gonna stop.
That's right. I saved you for last, but I know you are married, Dominique. But do you still have something in motion where you just go get to you're doing yearly checkups, or how did you, before you got married, what was your practice like?
So I've been with my husband for almost 23 years. So
Mhm.
and so we were having sex before marriage. So even before we got married, I did stuff like Micah. I went to Planned Parenthood, because that's where I got my birth control from, things like that. And so I just made it a practice. I got yearly checkups. I still get regular checkups. I get my pap smears, and even though I'm married, because in my mind, you just never know. So I rather know than not to know. And so I always have them as a precaution, just run a STD screening just to be on the safe side. Again, you just never know. And this is way to catch stuff early, as opposed to, I'm down and out and don't know why I'm down and out, so I just make it a regular habit. I take my, that health, like my physical health. I make sure that I do regular checkups and just, also having the conversations, with my partner. So I know where we stand, but I always have been, I'm an advocate for my health, whether it's my physical health, my girl health. I just make sure that I get regular checkups and just screenings.
I love this conversation. Y'all, this has been a great conversation. I'll just answer the question by saying, celibacy has definitely been my friend. Abstinence has been my friend. I don't necessarily need, like, a lot of times it's so funny because I know for me, I would talk to my friends and they'd be like, girl, you know, you need a little something to come through in the middle of the night to get you together before, all of that. And it's crazy because I understand that's just culture talking. That's just people not understand, like, vibrating, like, dang, you don't be doing nothing with nobody for how long? Like, girl, I couldn't do it. When you start to have those kind of conversations with people, it's like, girl, it's cool. Like, because, like, I think every queen on this panel has said that it has to be sacred. It has to mean something. Like, I'm really not the girl to be like, we just gonna do it tonight and then that's it. I put a lot in that thing. So ain't no way we could just, it can't be just, okay, so this has been an amazing conversation, y'all. Time has gotten away from us. I still have some things to do. Really quick, I just want to do our women's It is still women's celebration. It's Women's Month, and I want to celebrate Black women. I want to celebrate Black people all year. So I just want to really quickly acknowledge Dr. Joyce Elders, who was our first Black U.S. Surgeon General. Dr. Joyce Elders was fired in 1994 after advocating for comprehensive sex education, including for adults. She believed that withholding information, not behavior, was the real public health risk. So we want to give a shout out because this Black woman was there holding it down, saying like, no, 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 we need to know. People need to know what is going on with their bodies. They need to know what's happening. And so she was one of our first advocates. And she believed that we should have information and it not be withheld. What else do I want to before we go to final thoughts? The final thoughts have to be brief, y'all, because we over our time. Anything else I need to before we go to final thoughts? We got it. Women's health. Okay. All right. We'll start with you, Michael. What is your final thoughts and how can people get in touch with you?
Really, just for the community as a collective to take more active responsibility regarding this matter, right? If you'd like to get in touch with me, I can be reached on all platforms at Micah the Creator with a K. And if you are interested in learning about artificial intelligence, I'm more than happy to teach you for 7 days for free. All you have to do is go to www.aiempiresociety.com.
Let me tell you, I would not have been able to create that opening I did, which is just so nice without Micah. Like I would not have been able to, because let me tell you, she got me together. Dominique, what about you? Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
So my final thoughts are just having conversations, whether it's with the elderly or with the young, just having open and honest, non-judgmental conversations with people so that people can get the knowledge and the resources that is available to them. And hopefully we can decrease this rate of STDs that's going around, in general. So again, I'm Dominique Morgan. I am the co-founder of the Whitmore Group, where we exist to educate, empower, and equip individuals to build wealth through real estate. We can help you purchase throughout the United States of America. And if you're looking to find us, we are on all social media platforms at the Whitmore Group, and you can go to our website at thewhitmoregroup.com.
Definitely check her out, thewhitmoregroup.com. Yolanda, what do you say, sis? What are your final thoughts and where can people find you?
I just want to say to the elderly that you are not forgotten. We still love y'all. You're our elders. We love y'all. And we want you to love yourself still enough to protect yourself. That's it. You can find me at mwhitney.com. I'm an insurance broker. I can insure anything, your pinky toe, whatever. We have some good stuff coming up with mwhitney.com. So please follow me. You're going to love it, what we have down the pike. But follow me, mwhitney.com.
mwhitney.com.
Yes.
Deborah, what do you say?
I say that our community needs to know its worth. We need to know that we are love. We extend love to everyone else. We need to extend it back to ourselves, get to know people. It's fun to get to know people. You ain't got to get all entangled and have soul ties. Love yourself before you give yourself away to someone. You are very valuable, whether you're young or old. You are valuable and you're needed and you're loved. I'm Deborah E. Williams. Thank you for having a cultural conversation with me today.
Absolutely. And I guess my final thought is this. I keep always thinking about when my grandmother said, what I didn't say was my grandmother she had been watching porn, y'all. And and we came in and she was like, "What? I'm not dead." And I just keep thinking about that, right? She's absolutely right. You're not dead, right? And there is space, like Yolanda said about, remembering that old people get. I think I forgot that, as an elderly person, I'm still gonna get horny too. There's things that I'm still gonna have my needs. But I love what the queens have said today about making sure that you also, if you're going to have sex, understand that there's a responsibility that comes along with it, and that you also need to just be keeping yourself protected. If you're gonna jump in that water, you gotta wear your gear. You know what I mean? So it's just important. Anonymous asks how many old people or elderly people are watching the podcast. And I think we get a nice mix. So hopefully they have learned something today, and they are going to protect themselves. And as we are aging women, that we will do the same, because it's not really just about that. It's about you. One day you're going to be old, one day old, whatever that means. You're going to be elderly. You're going to be, in that golden age. You're going to be a golden girl, a golden man, a golden bachelor. So we just want you to be protected. With that being said, you have been watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. This has definitely been a conversation around mindset. I think it's so important that we had it. I thank all the queens, Micah, Yolanda, Deborah, and Dominique, for joining me today. And we are just going to leave out on that note. Stay protected. Keep yourself, have a wonderful weekend. It's Black Friday. Go out and support a Black business today. We will see you Monday, and have a wonderful weekend.